Hey, welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, and this is my review of Intergalactic. This is a Netflix animated feature. It's not for kids. Not for kids. Put the remote down, little Timmy. I don't know if there's a little Timmy. Probably not watching my YouTube channel. If there are 5-year-olds watching my YouTube channel, that would be an iconic moment. I'm a blind film critic, which means I can't see the film, so I use audio description to pull me through the film. And as I understand, Intergalactic is a pretty interesting film to look at. I think that's what they were trying for, was to go sort of this unique style of animation. I can't tell you what that is. I've just read articles. So through other people's thoughts, I will just mention that that this is Kid Cudi, and he created the concept for and guided this film into production with Netflix. So there's obviously a heavy influence by music. I don't know if this qualifies like as an original score, but I thought it was dope. It's not your traditional thing when people talk about, that was the best score of the year. I love how it's just melancholy feel brought the film together, and we just, the haunting sounds of, it's like, no, it's just a bunch of like Kid Cudi hip-hop music, but it's right for the film. This is a hip-hop film. There's Jabari, played by Kid Cudi, is a street artist, and Jessica Williams is this neighbor of his. This is basically just a love story, but it's an adult love story. This is not Aladdin and Jasmine. There's a lot of cursing, there's sex, so there's drugs. So yes, this is not a film for your children. However, I would love to see more things like this actually released theatrically, because representation matters, and this film is getting buried on Netflix. Technically, it has such a wide audience because anybody can click on it, but it's also being released at the same time as like all these other films, and I think people are just kind of like, I don't know what that is. I'm not going to click on it. So, also, Netflix, I think, does it a disservice by not submitting it to the MPAA, and instead it's rated TVMA instead of R. So, maybe they were afraid to release an R-rated movie, but I think back to sort of a lot of the other films, and I think we've had R-rated animated films before. I feel like we have. If not, we've certainly had PG-13 ones before that have aimed at audiences. I'm trying to think. Princess Mononoke was rated PG-13. That was obviously not for kids. So, yeah, there's more and more of a window of a space for adult animation. I mean, we watch all of these shows, everything from Archer to Solar Opposites and Rick and Morty, and just a growing number of shows that are aimed not at kids, but at adults. And those shows, there's a reason why there could be movies too. And I think a movie about two artists falling in love from the hip-hop culture with this cast, by the way, that not just has Kid Cudi in the lead vocals of Jabari, but actually has just such an interesting cast. It's got everybody from like Timothée Chalamet to Macaulay Culkin to Luis Guzman. There's a bunch of people just pop up in this cast. Kid Cudi must have called in some favors, because he's assembled quite a unique ensemble, which was very interesting to see at the end, because I thought I had recognized some voices, and then I looked at the end and I was like, oh, that's who that was. So yeah, it turned out I did actually recognize some of those voices. I was like, man, that voice sounds really familiar. Why does that voice sound familiar? And I found out. So Kenya Barris is even a voice in this. So he's also a producer of the film as well. Anyway, yeah, it's a love story. It's just a modern way of relationships, and they live in the same building, and they're neighbors, and should they or shouldn't they, and the trials and tribulations and things that happen that pull them apart, but things that pull them together. Plus a celebration of their various styles of art. You know, he designs like streetwear, and he's got this, I can't remember the name of it, but he's got this like thing, this icon that's his. And she's a photographer, so they're both sort of in the same realm. There's just to give you an idea of how this is not for your children, they attend an art festival where everything is a vagina. So if you don't want to have to explain that to your children, again, not a film for children. So I can't quite express that enough. I wouldn't let anyone under 13 watch this. I don't, because I don't even know what the sex shows. In an animated film, you can do pretty much anything you want in a sex scene. So who knows? But you're gonna have to do a lot of explaining to little children if you let them watch Intergalactic, no matter how much they like Kid Cudi. But I enjoyed this. It's not my favorite thing in the world. I sort of enjoyed the novelty of it more than I did the actual film. And that's where, because I was thinking to myself about the film, I was like, man, I don't think there's been anything like this. And I'm trying to figure out, like, as the film is maneuvering, I'm like, where's my grade at? Where's my grade? And then somewhere my mind realized that this is a good film. It's not a great one, in so much that the animation can't be the reason. It can't be the novelty, the fact that it's animated. Because the story itself is what should sell it. And the story itself is sort of like a tale as old as time. It's just that this is not the kind of film we usually get animation in. Sort of like many years ago, I was bored to tears by Waking Life. I'll say that. But everybody went nuts over it. And I was like, this is boring. Are we just praising this because it's of the way like it was made? Like it was shot? And the funny thing is, we've used that style of animation so much now that when you look back at Waking Life, you're like, is this still? Are we still holding up Waking Life as being like Richard Linklater's profound piece of work, or can we move on from that? Because we've used rotoscope and other things. Even Scanner Darkly does it better, I think. So now I thought this film was actually good. If it was not animated, if nobody had told me this film was animated, I would have. This is what I would have thought. This is the grade I would have given, basically. The narration doesn't do a whole lot to enhance anything we might be missing from the creativity that animation allows. It just sort of narrates it as a straightforward movie. So if you just think about it as, just another love story, then this is kind of where my grade lies. I liked it a lot. It's not my favorite film of the year, but I think a lot of people should give it a shot. And I think we should tell more stories like this, and I think we should release them theatrically. So with all of that in mind, I'm going to give Intergalactic a B+. So I do hope that you, without your children, check out Intergalactic and support the wider use of animation to tell stories that are not necessarily aimed at children, to tell stories that are not necessarily fanciful or catered directly, but are just sort of human stories, because we don't actually do enough of those. Every once in a while we do something adjacent, and we tend to overpraise it because there aren't enough stories like that. But if we just use this medium a lot more for that kind of thing, then I think we could get a lot of really great stories told using a medium that allows for a little bit of invention, kind of like Amazon's Undone. If you want to see something that's really cool, go watch Amazon's Undone. That's it for me. So if you stayed this long, you must like me. So at least a little bit. So think about subscribing, because I'm trying to get to 100 by the end of the year. I also have a website, macthemovieguy.com. I have a Twitter at macthemovieguy.com. There's a theme there. You can go to the audio description project, adp.acb.org. It'll let you know what has audio description, where you can watch it. And you can go to theadna.org. It'll let you know who's narrating what. There's like a search bar. It's all crowdsourced and everything. So if you ever have any information, you can shoot it on over there and get it uploaded and get people credited. It's sad that they're not allowed to be on IMDb. Anyway, that's it for me today. And I gotta go review something else, but I will see you guys on the other side.